Hey neighbors, Tom Derzapolsky here. I'm currently serving as your board president, and I wanted to provide a state of the union or a state of the community, as it may be, here in January. We're going to look back a little bit and then look forward, and I hope I can keep this video brief. I have some notes here to the side that'll help guide me on things I want to make sure I cover, so excuse me as I look aside. But the reality is, out of our 735 owners, when we have an election or a board meeting, participation by the owners is very low. This is not uncommon for condominiums and communities all across Florida and all across the country, but that means that in any given time, there's a huge portion of our ownership that is unaware of the progress we've made or the challenges we face. And a lot of times, the only time that you'll stick up your head and get engaged is if we mess with your sandbox, as I say, right? Like if we have a rule that affects boats and you're a boater, boom, you engage on that topic in a passionate way, or it could be any number of subjects. But we do need to recognize that the policies and the leadership, the management, and our engagement in the community is important. So I thought I'd provide this very quick video to kind of walk you through what'll sound like an accomplishment list. That is not the point. But I want you to know that a lot has been accomplished by the board and the interim management, and give you a look over the horizon for things to come. So I'll kind of shoot through these, maybe pause on a few if there's something more to comment on. But as it relates to projects completed from a maintenance perspective, my grandparents bought in 1970, and I think we were the third or the sixth people to buy a site. And funny story, we bought 399 way in the back by the lagoon on the corner, kind of overlooking the pond and lagoon. My grandmother was furious with my grandfather because he was adamant about that site. It's a large site overlooking the lagoon, but in the day, it wasn't even available. So the very front circle and kind of the early portions of Venture Out were what was developed. The front pool and clubhouse and the beach were the amenities, and it was sand and nothing back to the back lagoon area. No boat ramp, no boat dock, no pool, no playground, nothing. And my grandmother was just upset as could be about that. The reason I mentioned that was that is in 1970. And here we are 52 years later with the same bathhouses, the same clubhouse, the same pool, the same plumbing in a lot of ways. I think we did have some upgrades along the way with regard to our sewers, but our community has aged. Not to mention that we're using our community in a way that it was never designed. So our community used to have yards. You'd have an RV site and some pavers and a lot of grass on every single site. So when it rained, the earth absorbed the water. But now if you flew a drone above Venture Out, you have nothing but rooftops and concrete. Very little permeable surface. Now, how we got here over 15 years is understandable. Little nuance changes, but no one looking ahead to the 15, 30, 50-year mark to say, how are these changes to building and compliance to what we allow in the community going to affect our infrastructure? No one's paid to do that. And so one of the things I want to encourage us later in the video to do is look at establishing a comp plan for how we're going to bring our community up to speed from an infrastructure and an amenity perspective, and then how we can better plan. As an example, we started to allow people to build homes so big that you can only fit a very small compact car maybe in the driveway. But we have parking issues and narrow streets. So we want to position the community for proper growth moving forward. And we'll get to some of that. So a lot of these maintenance related issues, some needed to be done, some are regular wear and tear, but let's just look at a few. The boat dock electric was updated last year, kind of throughout from one end to the other. The fishing dock, new lighting has been installed. If you haven't been here in a while, we have a brand new, beautiful playground that has been installed. Our sewer system has been cleaned or scoped and cleaned, and repairs made along the way. I think there are still some more repairs to do, but that was a big deal for our community. We have so much debris in our sewer system when it goes back to a station that lifts that sewer. We're talking about your poop, not water from the rain. There's a grinder in there that grinds things up and moves it along. And we had so much sand and debris in ours, we were just chewing up propellers, very expensive. The new boardwalk is being installed starting tomorrow, January 26th, through next Monday, the 31st. That's down by the beach. New landscaping company has begun work, and improvements are already underway with regard to our landscaping around the front, and we're going to move throughout the park. We have a new fountain in the back pond that's not just for looks, but that helps provide oxygen into the water so that we don't get a green, slimy, cesspool of a pond back there. That's actually not just pretty, but functional with that regard. We are replacing the lining in the front pool. The front pool is a concrete pool, and every so many years you have to replace that kind of plaster or lining along the side of it. We have some problems with ours, leaking, and the whole front amenity package, I'm telling you now, is going to need to be addressed over the next 3, 5, and 7 years. Our clubhouse, our pool, rather than let that frighten you or upset you, let's think positively about what that could be. What would a lagoon style pool with a zero entry that you can walk into, in a new clubhouse that you can host proper events at, that is in a circle with a core in the middle? It's a bizarre building. But those types of things are going to need to be underway. Lighting for the back pool. Now, you remember we lost swimming all last season because we did not have lighting. This is a regulatory permitting issue from Bay County. We tried to fix it, came back, they put their meter on it, didn't work, tried to fix it, came back. So we got an engineering company to look at that and determine exactly the power of the lights, the strength of the light, and the location of those. And one of our board members, along with our interim manager, are working on bids to get that installed so we don't go another season without night swimming at the back pool. We have a new maintenance entrance fence back there. When you go throw your trash away, there was a fence that had been damaged badly by Hurricane Michael and was leaning. That's been replaced. The back pavilion survey. Now, you'll recognize some of these items as being part of the special assessment that was passed. The back pavilion survey is not as simple a project. The survey is what we're talking about, was necessary in order for us to replace the pavilion, which is not as simple a project as you would think. There are 2 different zoning issues back there where that pavilion sat. It falls into 2 different categories. And as an example, to meet the standard right now, that pavilion floor would need to be 18 inches off the ground. It has to do with its distance from the water, its location, and hurricane waters and flooding and all that kind of stuff. So we're working on a proper solution. That, like many things, ended up being a little more complicated than you might think. New beach and golf, the golf pool at the beach. If you noticed last season, a brand new fence has been installed around that, so the prison chain link rusty fence is gone. We've installed a new roof on the fishing dock. I think that might have been covered above. No, that was new lighting on the fishing dock. Installed 2 new fences around the existing propane tanks. That's a safety and a liability thing we addressed. Bathhouse 4, we replaced the water heater. Bathhouse 1 and 2, we rebuilt 6 shower and bathroom valves. Bathhouse 1 and 2 installed 4 new urinals in both bathhouses. Bathhouse 1, we replaced interior lighting with LED lighting. In bathhouses 2, 3, and 4, we replaced outside lighting with LED lighting. We also had some artists go in and kind of do some cool work on the inside of those, which was really neat. We have a new HVAC system installed in the guard building. They call it the guard shack. I try not to call it a shack because it's a really nice building. But the guard building at the front entrance when they wave you in, a new HVAC system. We service the sewer lift station generator. The pool pit, the pool has a pit with a bunch of equipment in it up there by the front. We handled replacing transformers, fans, lights, time clocks, a bunch of electrical work that was way overdue. We replaced the pool grates in the pool. We serviced the sewer lift station so that it operates when you flush the toilet. You want things to go away. We're trying to make sure that happens. purchased 3 new bike racks, and replaced storm drainage grates. So just in 18 months, there's been an enormous amount of effort that has gone into making maintenance improvements that are necessary from an operational perspective, but then also from things like playgrounds and dock lights, fishing dock and boating docks, boardwalks down to the beach, and things like that. So here's some things under the hood from an administrative perspective. Forgive me. We've got a new IT infrastructure in place in the front office. Many of you may not know, but in the front office, if you walked up to one window for service, and there were someone at that window and someone at the other window, and there were 2 computers sitting in front of them, they were independent computers. No backup, no way to move data from one to the other. So if the boat dock or the boat fee registration spreadsheet was on this computer and you came in on this window, you had to wait, or you had to go over there and have them help you. It was really, really bad. So we've got an infrastructure in place now so that we have a proper network where you can log into computers, you can access files, things are saved and backed up, and that was a big deal for us. We've overhauled our financial systems and our accounting systems. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that management company, CMA, we were with for a hot minute in the transition back. We've had unprecedented engagement with owners over the past 18 months, attendance at board meetings by opening up Zoom and the Clubhouse has allowed people to stay informed and involved, express their opinions. And also with regard, we've seen some improvement in our elections. We could do a lot better, but we're trying to do a better job at making sure more owners are involved, hence this video. It's already 11 minutes. I'm gonna have to speed up. Special assessment items are being triaged, meaning we identify the special assessment projects, we pass a special assessment, we're collecting those fees, and now we're triaging the order of which we tackle those. Some of them have seasonal considerations. As an example, we can't replace the beach boardwalk, which is underway, between May and I think September or October because of turtle nesting season. You can't disturb certain parts of the beach. So there are some windows of time that we can do things. We obviously can't repair the pool in the middle of the summer when everybody's using it. So we're examining the process that we're going to go through to make sure we get projects underway. Let's see. Incredible engagement thanks to our events and activities committee. You've noticed the 401ks and the dances and the 4th of July parties and Labor Day parties and the Christmas events. Those are back, and Venture Out is bustling again. That's awesome. We've got new janitorial staff. We used to outsource our janitorial services to a company. They did a terrible job. They would come in and roll through all our bathhouses and all of our facilities in 1 hour. And we looked at the cost we were spending on that and now have someone in-house that will help do that. So that we can address needs as they come up and ensure that the facilities are always in great shape for our owners and our guests. We've recently hired a new maintenance supervisor and a new office manager. Now, I want to introduce those people to you properly, so we'll do that at a later time. But the reason I mention it now is we needed a maintenance supervisor in place. We needed an office manager to help fulfill that assistant management role. And of course, we are still pursuing a general manager, a licensed CAM. In Florida, you have to have a license to do that job. So from those positions, we're continuing to work forward and get that set up. You've noticed perhaps that we launched a new website in the past 18 months. We've purchased radios for security, new radios for security and maintenance. We've established a new trash collection system, and we're getting a new trash compactor to be added to the one we have in place. You may or may not have heard that we've discontinued trash pickup at the homes. Imagine, if you will, that we're paying north of $60,000 a year for a trash truck to drive up and down every street, even though in November and maybe February there's 500 empty units. That was really expensive. We already had an increase in condo fees and a special assessment, so we're looking for ways to suppress that cost. So people will now drop their trash at the compactor. Now you might ask yourself, what about the elderly or someone who might not be healthy in an able to get their trash back there. We've got a plan for that in place. If you contact the front office and let them know you fall in that category, that janitorial staff that we talked about, part of their duties will be to make a round and assist those individuals. This may not be without its hiccups and issues. We recognize that, and we're doing the best we can to prepare for it. Let's see. We've established a 401k for our employees. Our employees have never had a proper retirement platform. So we've got that established, and we're encouraging them to participate. We've identified, mapped out our fire extinguisher locations and are triaging what it means to have those maintenance and managed so that they're available in case of emergency. Audited and updated all facility insurance coverage. We were dramatically underinsured. Big deal. We've remedied that. We've added additional security for our summer months so that we have another rover. So additional security costs, additional insurance costs. These are things we can't really control, but we're tackling those head on. The last category, and I hope I can button this up in real short order here, in the works. We are working towards that full contingent in the front office. We've got 2 new hires that'll be starting up there. We've got the office manager. We're looking for that CAM, as I mentioned, the property manager. And in the interim, we've got an incredibly dedicated crew of Cindy Rainey, Rebecca Whitten, and Angie Singletary, who are working at no charge now for moving into the 18th month. They show up and go to work like you and I perhaps show up and go to our job and get paid for. So Angie Singletary, as the interim manager, has been handling that for us. Rebecca's been tackling our IT, some of our policies, and Cindy's been tackling our financial side and our books. We've got those in great shape, and we're excited about the fact that my next bullet is Appfolio, which is our new property management accounting software, is going to launch in early February. Now, this is the environment that you will have a login and be able to manage your business with Venture Out, download meetings, and notes, an agenda and minutes, look at account balances, do business. This is an excellent platform that's been very thoroughly vetted. And the reason we didn't launch it on January 1st, as we'd really hoped, is that the transfer away from CMA that began to occur in September, October, when they got to the end of theirs, they did not behave the way that I run my company and you probably run yours. They were good riddance and could not run for the hills fast enough, and we've been pulling teeth to get data that only they had because they ran us for a year. So Cindy Rainey and Tammy and some other folks have been working on every account, on every transaction, making sure it's imported into the new system and accurate. That's an enormous amount of work. And think of it as if you will, as sailing a ship as you build it. Like, we can't stop operations and fix all of that. Like, make sure no other transactions occur. We still have to keep running the community. So it has not been easy, but we are getting real close. We are working on new security protocols with the security committee. What does that mean? It means we want to have a good, solid SOP. So what does our security company that we pay a lot for do? When do they make their rounds? What things are they responsible for? Who's responsible for overseeing and checking out to make sure it's done every day? What is their training like? All that kind of stuff. Here's something I'd like to cover with you for sure. We need to seat 2 new board members. These 2 new board members will fulfill a term that's underway. So although the seat is vacant, the term continues to roll through the calendar. So probably in February, you'll see us spin up a special election to seat 2 new board members. That doesn't mean we need 2 people to run. It means we need 20 people to run. So the owners can vote and choose who they'd like to sit in those seats. Talk about board service for just a minute. There are different roles board members play. And I would think of it perhaps as like executive committee. Those individuals, the president, the treasurer, vice president, are extremely operationally engaged. I would consider it another job. It is time consuming. Then there are other board members who are just as important as the executive committee, those people in those president, vice president, treasurer type of positions. And they tackle individual projects. They participate in meeting. They advise the executive. We work collaboratively. I wouldn't say we have a chain of command in the board where one person's idea is more important than the others. When any of the board members reach out to me and start to share thoughts and concepts, we're two people that love Venture Out trying to work through that opportunity or issue or decision. Those roles don't consume as much time as the others. So there's a way to serve if you're nervous about the time commitment and participate and contribute. And I hope you'll consider doing that. It is important that we have a full board, that we're always representing the broadest spectrum. I would invite you, if you disagree basically with everything I've done as president, dislike anything about our approach here or our accomplishments, then please run for the board. I think tension is good. I think opposing ideas is good. You'll be pleased to know we have that. Within our board, we don't all play along to get along. We don't all just back each other's idea because we're friendly and, hate to rock the boat. We challenge each other. We expect when we bring ideas to the table that they're carefully thought through and that we have time to consider those. And so it's a really kind of cool operational place to be. I'll leave you with this. It would be important probably that you come with a willingness to serve the community and not your personal need. So if you have a beef, this isn't the greatest place to demonstrate a vendetta. Like, I hate, speed bumps. I'm going to run for the board and remove them all. You just don't have that kind of power. You've got to make a compelling case to the rest of your board members, also connect with owners, get their feedback, and then serve them by making the decision that may not be the decision you want, but the decision the community needs most. So keep that in mind if you run. I don't think you need thick skin. Somebody once mentioned to me, you need to have thick skin. I don't think you need to have thick skin unless this is very personal to you. And I don't see any reason this should be personal. Status of hiring a new CAM is another area here that we wanted to address. We went through a lengthy interview process, had a candidate who accepted the position, not just like verbally, but signed an employment agreement, sent it back, and then had a dramatic life experience with her mother who's living with her and is now going to be put into a memory care facility. And this was obviously very traumatic on their family, and that candidate didn't believe that she could give her full attention to the community during that period in their family's life. It was unexpected. We then put our nose down, started working again, and we're now back into collecting resumes. A job posting is listed. I've probably had 150 applicants, of which 140 are completely not qualified. And that's not dramatic. It means they literally have no experience. They might be a waiter or a waitress or bartender who decides, like, yeah, they can do that. And they've applied. They're garbage resumes. But we've got a few that are CAMs and that are licensed, and sort of carefully looking through and reviewing those to find the right fit for Venture Out. This is more like running a city. If you think about the way we're spread out, unlike a vertical condominium, this is quite different. It's a small town. We have our own sewer systems and electrical issues and law enforcement with our security. So it's complicated. We need the right person. Let's see. We're also examining an arrangement for an operator to run a snack bar out of the front clubhouse. That was a pretty routine thing when I was a kid there, and it was awesome to be able to go in and get pizza or a hamburger and a cold drink, and then head back out to the pool or back out to the beach. That will be a good relationship for Venture Out, where we benefit in revenue, helps us with some of our operational costs, and it's a nice amenity. So more to come on that. Let's see, some requested items from owners. Someone asked for a flooding status update for bathhouse number 1. That's the front bathhouse up there near the front office, kind of where you see the cars and RVs being stored along there. There's a bathhouse just over there in the corner. When it rains, all the water from that front circle heads right to that spot. We've had that looked at by several different organizations, and then we had the two pipes, two sewer pipes that roll through that underground, cleaned out. And during the moment of super heavy rain, we still can get a little bit of water backed up, but it seems as though cleaning out those pipes has provided dramatic relief, as you might expect, now that the water can get through. But we will keep our eye on that. Transition from CMA to the new system, what has taken so long? I might have covered that a little bit earlier, but if we imagine two partners working along running the community, the relationship isn't a good relationship. They're not equipped to handle our needs. We amicably agree to separate and say, we'll help you. We're going to help each other. Absolutely. They're happy to leave. We're happy for them to go. The date comes to the end of the contract when they say they're going to deliver all the final files, and they don't. They don't do it. And then we are pulling teeth for months. Some of you right now are thinking, why don't you sue them? Why don't you attack them? Why don't you do this? We're going to fight this fight first, which is a smooth transfer of information. And then I would argue that we're not totally done with CMA. I'm very, very disappointed at the way they treated us. And we're going to find a way to make that known to them and perhaps others, because it's really, really put us in a difficult position. Because Cindy and Rebecca, myself, and this board were involved with engaging CMA, we've taken it very personally, meaning personally restoring the community back with our labor and our time. So we have the scars from that relationship, and we want to find a way to make sure that doesn't happen to other organizations in the future. Last question, are there plans to have working security cameras on the docks? As part of the special assessment, we approved a security camera infrastructure for Venture Out. Preliminarily, to get that quote and figure out what that fee was, vendors toured and walked, and we identified areas that were appropriate for security cameras. Now that that's been approved, they're going to come back and we're going to do a survey of sorts. I don't mean a survey of owners, but a physical survey of space to look at where liabilities could occur and where security cameras are needed. I would imagine the boat docks, the fishing docks, and pool decks, front office, those kind of common areas are natural fits for a security camera. I would think that certainly we'll have one there. But that review and analysis will be what determines that. But if I was a bet man, I'm putting my money on, security camera out on the docks. Let's talk about security cameras for a minute. We're going to develop a policy for those cameras. So data is stored, footage is stored, and every owner can't go in and just look at the security camera footage at will. We're going to develop with the security committee and the board of directors a protocol for how we access security camera footage and why. And as you might be able to imagine, there's 100 reasons why it might be appropriate to have those policies in place. Let's talk about the purpose for the security cameras. One person said, are you going to have someone watching all those cameras at once? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We will have a monitor in the clubhouse. So if we see the kids doing donuts back there in the gravel lot by the pool, certainly they could call the roaming security patrols and send them back there quicker. But if you think about from a liability perspective, someone slipping on the pool deck or a kid breaks their leg playing basketball and it's because there was horseplay, is not any fault of Venture Out's. It's important for us from a liability perspective to have information archived so that if there is an event where someone is injured on our common spaces, that we'll have video evidence that there's actually quite a bit of horseplay that was going on. Are you sure you want to bring that lawsuit against us? That kind of thing. So it's a combination of security in the front guard building, having the opportunity maybe to spot some horseplay or they see someone lurking along the boats, peeking in boats. Side note, I love looking at boats, so I'll walk up and down the dock and look at configurations and what kind of electronics do they have, and that's an interesting setup on that rig. So it doesn't always mean something bad's going on. However, that kind of security, watching over things to prevent crime is not the purpose of those. That may find some utility there, but the purpose is really more from a liability perspective and protecting our community. So that is sadly a 29-minute and 48-second long video. I apologize for that, but I know that many of you are never going to attend a board meeting this year. Please do. And many of you don't read emails or open the mail that we send to you, so we're going to embed this in an e-blast and let you click on it and watch through. I hope you will. Please consider serving on the board. Please consider joining a committee. And please vote. Every time we ask you to vote on something, we're going to need you to vote. Which brings me to my final point that I almost forgot. One of the reasons that we are in the position that we're in is we haven't had as a community a comp plan that I told you about. Like, what things are we going to address at year 3, at year 5, 7, 10 that our communities need? We know our roads are going to need to replace. So long ago we started saving money. That's a small example of us doing it right. And the past boards have led well, and I'm not disparaging those efforts at all. However, at some point in our history, we determined that a board member, so myself, could run and be elected by the owners and serve 2 years. And then you must leave the board for at least a year, and then you can run again and be seated on board. I'm the president of the Red Cross here in North Florida. I serve on the Goodwill board, and this is absolutely insane. There's no scenario that you'd have dramatic turnover of all of your leadership every few years and expect to have any kind of continuity from a project, a funding, a fiscal perspective. So when we're doing the election and mailing you packets for the board seats, we're going to take advantage of that mailing and that opportunity, because it's expensive to mail you things, and ask you to help us vote and approve board terms. And as an example, this is not what it'll be, but it would be more appropriate to say a board member could run for 2-year terms and serve maybe 3 of those consecutively. So 2, 4, 6 years of leadership on the board. Every 2 years, they must be reelected. So you're not crowning someone king or queen. You're not giving them the keys of the kingdom. They have to earn your trust and be reelected every year. And they can run against opponents. They will be hopefully running against opponents in those elections. But if someone's doing a good job and they're leading well, they have a plan, they have a steady hand at the tiller, you would want that person to be able to continue to serve, in particular if the owners want them to. But right now, if you are really happy with the progress this board is making, in August, there's a dramatic departure of leadership from the board. And I could go through all the names, but won't bother with that for now. So we need to change that policy so that if we have good leadership in place and they've earned the trust of the owners, that they can serve a few consecutive terms to create that continuity in execution of a plan and vision over time. Now we're at 32 minutes. I'm so sorry. But you didn't have to attend a bunch of board meetings or committee meetings this year for this quick snapshot. Hey, thank you for caring about Venture Out. I only ran for this position because I absolutely love this community. I never in a million years thought I'd be president. I do not have the time in my life, I thought, to do this. But when you're passionate about something and you want to see things improved and done right, you want to work with competent, capable board members and owners who care and volunteer their time, it's a very rewarding experience. And I genuinely mean that. I've taken a few throat punches throughout the year, and I'm sure I've upset a few people. But every time I meet with somebody who's really upset and talk through the process I went through and explain to them the situation, they sometimes leave still disagreeing with the decision. But I think I can say they leave with a respect for the process and how we addressed the issues. So thank you for your time. Hope to see you around the community. Get involved. Bye-bye.